Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action packed session. Today, we're going to talk about how to buy your first rental in 90 days. So, this will give you a blueprint. A lot of people are always asking me, like, how do I get a deal quick? How do I get a deal in 90 days? What should I be doing? What are the action steps? Make sure you stick around. I'm going to break the whole game down to you or for you today and to you. If you have questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment section. Quick housekeeping. If you want to tap into our 24/7 cash flow community, only 27 bucks. You can always click the link in description on IG, click the link in bio on YouTube. You can tap into that. We have our next real estate ride along tour. I'm just opening this up on IG. We have our next real estate ride along tour Saturday, August 16th in Philly. If you want to come out and spend a day with me touring properties, learning how properties are built like hands on so that you can take the fear out of the game, just reach out, DM me ride along, and you can tap into that. It's almost sold out, but we still have a couple of tickets. And if you want us to just kind of do all the hard work, like we're going to talk about the work it takes, the path, like all the action steps it takes to get a deal this year, 2025 and beyond, and how to do it quickly in 90 days. But if you want to take the hard work out of it, you can always reach out about our boots on the ground program where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for you. So we do the hard work for you. You own everything, and it gives you the benefits of real estate, of buying and holding. I know a lot of people are just busy, don't have the time to do it themselves, have the families, have the obligations. All of these things are real. So if that's your issue, just reach out, DM us, boots on the ground. We usually only bring in one or maybe like two or three people a month or something like that. So we keep the numbers pretty small, but reach out while we have space open. So guys, once again, how to buy your first rental in 90 days. I'm going to give you a 90-day action plan, month one, month two, month three. But first, let's start with why most people never start, because there's always some mindset issue as to why people don't get started. Everybody knows. Well, I guess everybody doesn't know, but real estate makes a lot of millionaires, probably more than any other industry. And they track that by seeing how people made their first million. Many people will make that in real estate. Also, the win rate of some of these buy and hold rental strategies is in like the mid to high 80% win rate percentage. So you should know this, like if you're an entrepreneur, which you probably are if you're watching this, that 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So then you have to think, well, if 9 out of 10 businesses fail, but almost 90% of buy and hold real estate investors win, because that's the statistic, doesn't it make sense to kind of get in that area? Somebody said Tasha Martin. I never got the info ticket for ride along August. Yeah, I'll get it sent over to you. Don't worry about it. Just message me in the community group. I'll get it sent over to you where we meet up for the ride along. So it's always some mindset hack. But if you look at real estate purely, you know that the win rate is there. You just need to learn how to get started. The sooner you get started, the sooner you get to the chicken, the sooner you win, because 90% of people win. And they're not that smart, guys. Like, I know the winners. They're not that smart. They're not better looking than you. They don't make more money than you. Many of them, they're just like you. Or kind of somebody that you say, hey, I'm a little bit better than them, because everybody likes to kind of measure themselves. So just know you can kind of get this done once you get started. Let's get into why most people never start. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Why most people never start. One is overthinking. Overthinking strategy. There are 101 ways to make money in real estate. It's the truth. The more you learn about it, the longer you're in the game, you're like, damn, you could do this, this, this. People overthink early on what the best strategy is. To me, the best strategy is the most conservative strategy. Whatever you can do to get in with very small amounts of capital, something like the BRRRR strategy, where you could take, 20 grand and try to lever it in and out of a deal, refinance it out, buy in low, value add, do some rehab, put in some sweat equity. If you do a strategy like that, you're probably going to set yourself up to win, because the general numbers are on your side. There's a lot of fluff in these deals, a lot of rehab budgets that can support these deals. But doing any strategy, just getting in the game, is kind of the right path. So whatever your obstacles are, everybody will say, well, I have cash or credit issues or whatever your issue is. They then start overthinking their issue. They think it's unsolvable. How could I ever get this done? They try to force a strategy that doesn't mesh well with your issue. Like if you have a credit issue, you want to learn how to invest without cash or credit. You don't want to keep banging your head against the wall trying to invest in ways that require lots of lenders and lots of banks. So just generally overthinking things versus taking action. It's called analysis through paralysis. You'll see the smart investors do this. The really smart people, the people that are successful in the 9 to 5, they make good money, but they're so analytical that they can't get started in something as simple as real estate investing. They want to overcomplicate it, make many, many options. Just pick one and go. Pick one with the highest win rate or with a high enough win rate and go. Get out of the way. Get back into action taking. That's what's going to get you to where you want to go. So overthinking, paralysis through analysis for all the smart people. Number 2 is the 20% down myth. A lot of people believe in this. I probably heard it yesterday, heard it again today. It's almost like every other day I get hit with this myth, the 20% down. Oh, if I do this, I'm going to have to put down 20%. Or if I go to a multi, I'm going to have to put down 30%. Hey, how we doing on IG? Looks like I am David Minya. Thinking that you have to put down large sums of money is just a myth. It just shows a lack of knowledge on the different options and ways to structure deals. That's all it shows. Because it's like, well, yes, the 20% down does exist. There are some certain specific scenarios where you have to put down 20%. And then there are many where you don't. So if you come to somebody like me and say, yeah, well, I'm stuck because I got this 20% down, I can't come up with the 20. And then I'm just like, F the 20, like here's this other strategy that allows you to navigate this and go around this and still get where you want to go. But you put down 5 or 3, or you lease purchase, or, I was talking to somebody earlier today about a wraparound mortgage. So there's lots of different strategies out there. You need only learn them and then start to take action. So once again, I would say most of your real estate hurdles, I actually go on to say this, 90% of your real estate hurdles are only there to show you what you need to navigate around, to increase your depth of knowledge. And if you would just view your hurdles that way, you would skip the theatrics of it and just get straight to navigation of it. It's like, oh, I got a credit issue. Let me start researching and looking into ways to invest in real estate without credit. That's what it tells somebody like me. How can I work around this? There's a solution here. The problem is pushing you towards the solution. The solution is more valuable than even not having the problem in the first place. Because once you learn how to navigate that, guess what? Credit, it always goes up and down and sideways and left and right. It's going to improve. But if you learn how to navigate it, by the time your credit improves, you become superhuman. Because you got started and you started getting different experience that you would have otherwise not gotten had you had better credit. It actually makes you stronger than the person with no issues in getting started. Or you could get the 0% interest funding. Yes, you can do that. We're going to talk about that too. Too much TV. This also goes with social media to a degree, but just too much watching, too much Property Brothers, too much sitting on the couch, too much even watching Insta, watching YouTube, people building houses and stuff. You're getting fired up and you feel like you're learning, but you're not really learning until you're action taking, until you're taking some of these action steps. Like we're going to break down month 1, 2, and 3. Until you start taking these action steps, you're not going to expose yourself to the totality of a deal. A deal is a lot more than construction. And even the construction that you can see on TV, there's a lot more behind it than they release on TV. There's a lot more. You might see some deals on TV. It looks like they did it in 4 weeks. It took them 8 months. And they put in the fine print. Some of these are, dramatized to add effect to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you need to know why it took 8 months. What happened with the permits? What were the delays? How was the inspector? There's so much knowledge that you're going to gain by just going through deals that too much TV is bad. TV should just be there to excite you enough to say, I clearly have some interest here. I wouldn't keep watching this. Time for me to take action on it. And the sooner you take action, the more you will learn, the faster you accelerate, you'll hit your goals. Your goal, you can make your goals small, quite frankly. Those with, hey, I want to, retire from the 9 to 5 and do this. And I just want my 15 houses and, you can obliterate your goal. You can make your 15 houses a joke, something you could do in 6 months. But you have to take action. It's on the other side of action. It's not on the other side of watching more TV. And then fear of failure. Fear in general will kill you, but fear of failure holds people back. The only mindset hack to this, and it's the God's honest truth, is nobody really cares what you're doing anyway. I know this is a harsh reality for some of us, but the truth of the matter is people are 100% self-focused these days, living in their own algorithms, and they could care less if you win or lose. So don't sit around worrying about them, because they're not sitting around worrying about you. You get into action taking if you're at that point where you're like, I'd rather fail than continue this path that I know leads to somewhere I don't want to go. When you get to that point, you either take action for you, or you cower to the fear of what others would think if you failed. It's kind of a projection, because you can't fail at real estate until you try. It would take a while for you to kind of play that out. But you just have to get started, is the bottom line. You can't really sit around worrying about what other people think is either. And to a degree, you would get so strong and confident that you wouldn't even ask them in the first place. And walk your path. Walk your path in an intelligent way. Intelligent meaning try to learn something from someone who's done it before. Don't just go out in the school of hard knocks, because you're going to get crushed for 100K. Maybe more. I've heard of more. In the last year, I've heard of $250,000 and $500,000 lost in getting burned through a school of hard knocks lesson. I don't like those lessons. They're not that valuable. Not that valuable. Guys, if you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe. I'll share some free trainings with you on real estate investing, show you how to get started. If you want to tap into our 24/7 cash flow community, it's only $27 to join, to keep out tire kickers. I'm not about I don't care if anybody signs up for $27, quite frankly. I just put it there so that the people who do tap in, they're serious, and it builds a stronger community. And there's a lot of value behind that, a lot of knowledge you get. You'll learn, these steps and more that we're going to cover, and it'll help you to get to the next level if you take it seriously and if you're ready. I'll answer that. Oh, I will mention this. So reach out about that. If you want to tap into our boots on the ground program, where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for you, just reach out, DM me boots on the ground, and you can tap in. We only have a couple of spots, so you want to reach out quickly. And we do some trainings on that, like how that program works and everything, so you can learn about it. Daryl said, I just had to evict a professional tenant that came along with the property that I acquired in Nevada. Thank God they had fair landlord-tenant laws, very similar to Philly. Had to go to court. Yeah, your landlord-tenant laws, they're very important. They're very, very important, guys. Your landlord-tenant laws, wherever you're at, you need to really be paying attention to it. How do I learn? What blogs do I read? Don't read the blog. Go straight to the eviction attorney. Pick up the phone wherever you want to invest and start reaching out, start interviewing eviction attorneys. Hey, so tell me about the process. So how long does it take you to get somebody out? What rental licenses do we need here? You make sure we're compliant. Do you provide the leases? You want to get your lease before you get the tenant. You want to get the lease from the eviction attorney. Why from the eviction attorney? Because they're the one that stands in front of the judge and enforces it. They want to enforce their own lease. They don't want your Mickey Mouse lease that you found on the internet. They actually stand in front of judges. They know not only the law, but how the law is being enforced, which is more important, quite frankly. So definitely do that. Understand the process, but as long as you're in a fair city. See that when you go on the news, everything's polarized. When you go on you Google something, you go on CNN, and you say, where are the landlord and friendly states? And they give you a list of green. These are friendly, these are green, and these are red. It's not how it works realistically. What I found is there are some greens, but not as many as they advertise. And there are some reds, but not as many as they advertise. Many of these states are fair, what I would call balanced. As long as you have your paperwork and your license properly, you can evict. And here are the general timelines. Here's the mediation process. And you just need to be professional, and you need that eviction attorney for that reason, especially in these markets, so that you can make sure you're doing it the right way at scale. Because if you're not doing it the right way, you can't scale. You cannot scale. Let's get straight into month one, and we'll keep flowing through how. Oh, we're only 15 minutes in. This is good. Month one, step one. So this is like your first month in the game. Brian, I want to get started. What do I do here? Pick a cash flowing market. Pick a cash flowing market. Why cash flow? Because there's some market volatility right now. Things are reshaping out, balancing, rebalancing themselves. You need to have a conservative strategy. Finding properties that cash flow, or getting in high cash flow markets, means there's going to be lots of developers, lots of development, lots of people flocking there. It's just supply and demand. If I analyze major cities, if you make a list of the top 10 major cities in the country, and which ones are the most affordable on that list of the biggest cities, or, I would say the biggest cities in the country, you can start to find high cash flow cities and understand that other developers are going to do the same thing on a national level, because people can invest wherever they want to these days. People aren't locked into their backyards anymore. Why do you think all of the auctions, a lot of auctions went online during COVID, and they opened up to national markets for the first time? They were surprised by the demand. Why do you think they didn't go back to just being local after COVID ended and they could do physical meetings? Because they saw the demand was so high nationally to auction off their city properties. So there's just a microcosm of how much demand is out there for this product. So if you're buying in affordable cities, people are going to buy all around you and build you up in value and cash flow. So pick a cash flowing market, because it's just smart. It's just intelligent, and it's conservative. You want to be around other investors. You don't want to be in a market. There's kind of like this market myth. I want to be in a market where there's very low competition, like no competition. No, you don't. There's a reason there's no competition. There's a reason nobody's there, because it's not profitable. If it's profitable, people would be there in today's market. That's how it works. Unless you have some new age strategy that hasn't really been tested yet, that may be proven correctly or incorrectly. So pick a cash flow market and be smart about it, and you'll be a little bit more conservative and safe, which is the goal. Step two, and that's market research. We have market research videos, by the way, in the 24/7 cash flow community. If you click the link in the description or bio, you could tap in and you could learn how to market research like we do. We also do market research on our boot camp trainings. Probably have another one sometime in July, a 2-day boot camp. But we talk about market research, and I show you that process. But you can find some affordable cities. Step two, once you find where you want to invest, and I would pick one location, check your credit. A lot of people haven't checked their credit, or just aren't on top of it. You should be looking at your credit almost every day as a real estate investor. If anybody didn't know that, you should be looking at your credit every day, maybe multiple times a day. It should become a nervous tick. Shane says, can I use month to month to avoid evicting a tenant? No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. You should have a nervous tick about your credit as a real estate investor. You should be checking at your credit at least 3 or 4 times a day. It should just be second nature. Get your funding strategy together. What is your next strategy? Have you done an FHA, and are you in an ability? Are you in a city? Are you in a proximity where you can FHA house hack and unlock a multi, a triplex, or a quadplex? Have you explored business credit funding? I got to tell you guys, when I was just getting started in this game, people didn't have this business funding thing on lock like I've seen lately. People have evolved in this space, and I'm seeing people unlock 150K, 200K. Like when I started this, you could unlock maybe 50, 60K, and you could stack your credit, but it would take time. These people are going crazy right now. So you can definitely raise a lot on business credit, so much to the point where I would say It's relatively conservative. Dealing with business credit to me is not, it's not a conservative move because you're taking on financing. But with enough of it, if you could get 150K versus 50K, you can solve a lot with that level of liquidity, especially if you have a year at 0% in a game like this. So using, the average deal maybe 20K, 25K of 150, and then having 125,000 sitting liquid in case anything goes wrong, that's very conservative on a nice small deal. So you can use it to get started. So exploring your financing options. There's also hard money. There's also private money. There's many ways to finance these deals. And then there's creative financing where you leverage existing mortgage or debt that's already on the property if you have credit issues when you check your credit. The next one is build your team. Build your, your contractor. I would say, preface this with saying the contractor kind of comes last to a degree. You want to go out and find a property and get it, analyze it and be able to do many of these steps before roping in a contractor. The last thing you want to come off as is somebody that's going to waste a contractor's time, because guys don't have time. Contractors are either busy or not in use, basically. If they're good, they're probably really busy, which means they don't have time to run out and be looking at a bazillion houses for you. You need to bring them in when you have something identified that is highly serious, so that the hit rate of them going out to look at something and approve it to being able to work on it is very high. You need a secondary person, but you want to build your team, build that eyes and ears. If you're out of state, hey, I live in Philly, I want to invest in St. Louis. Well, I better be knowing somebody in St. Louis or putting up job ads on Indeed.com and hiring and interviewing on Zoom. And I'm going to build out a physical representation of me in whatever city I want to invest in. And I'm going to start to connect them with wholesalers and realtors and look at properties and do different things. Build out your team. There's a lot of team building. There's a lot of teammates. Real estate is a team sport. You must build your team. So running your operation is a team sport. Building your houses and going through this process, many people involved in that team. Ownership is a solo sport. It's like golf or tennis. You should own alone. Make your own decisions, make your own calls. You listen to enough people and their nonsense at the 9 to 5, quite frankly. You don't need to create something else where you have to listen to anyone. Own it yourself. Call your own shots. Even if it results in you scaling a little bit smaller or a little bit slower, unless you have a good partner. There are some good partnerships, but I just got to keep it real. 4, start sourcing deals. Start sourcing deals. You're not really serious about real estate until you start sourcing deals. And a lot of people need to hear that. But it's like, if you don't know how to get started, you're in month 1 and you're like, where am I at? What am I doing? If you haven't gotten yourself to one market, checked your credit, got your funding strategy, your vision. I'm going to fund this with hard money. I'm going to fund this with FHA. I'm going to fund this with biz credit. Got your money stacked up, or like your plan together for that. Start building your team out, really focusing on that and asking questions about that. And then started sourcing deals. You're not taking enough action steps to get what you want. In this order as well. Auctions, MLS, wholesale, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Look for deals. Start looking for deals every day. And that's all you need to do, is just build out your net. You need to sit back and envision, if I could cast a net and try to catch deals, where would those deals be? Where would I want to cast those nets? Well, I would want to have an auction net. So what's an auction net? Well, that's where you sign up for auction websites and create alerts that send you emails of specific properties that meet a certain criteria and tend to fit within your buy box, as to not be seeing too many deals that don't matter. So now I have that net, and I do the same thing with the MLS, and I do the same thing with the wholesale. And I may be broader or more narrow depending on my individual specifications as an investor. So now I have 3 nets casted. Wholesale deals coming in, MLS deals cranking, auction deals, and now I need to analyze them. Casting net is step one. Analysis step two. Guys, if you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment that says I subscribe. I'll send you some free real estate trainings. Share the content with someone who you want to get value. If you want to spend a day with me, a lot of people don't offer that either. People take that for granted. Come out, spend a day with me, Saturday, August 16th in Philly. We'll walk in maybe 15 houses in a day with rehab budgets, before videos, and the metrics of the deal, the cash flow, or the profit target projections, the ARVs, so you can understand how to analyze the deals and how to put them back together. Different timelines, different situations. You can ask any questions. That will take the fear out of it for you. And if you're interested in our Boots on the Ground program, where we just do all the work for you, once again, I'm not saying even month one is easy, guys. I'm not saying that. It becomes an obsession. It becomes a nervous tick and an obsession. And you fall in love with the activity, or you don't. If you don't fall in love with the activity that I'm talking about, checking your credit, you got to enjoy that. Like, damn, they gave me 3 points. You got to enjoy the whole game of it, staying on it. That's how you know you're a business person. You're checking, you're monitoring, you're tightening, fine tuning. But it's a lot of work. If you don't want to do all that work, but you still just want to own real estate, tap into something like the Boots on the Ground, where we do the work for you. And sometimes it's better to see the work be done as well. That's what I learned in when I was early in my scale. I came across a property management company in Baltimore, and I had them manage many properties. And I picked the brain of the guy who was running the company, and they were managing maybe 1,000 units while I'm managing 10. But I'm getting 1,000 units worth of game because I love the game. And when the manager calls, which is like the owner, essentially, or one of them, we would sit on the phone for an hour and a half, just talking real estate. Kind of like if you're in a barbershop talking sports with somebody, just talking real estate. Just talking real estate. And I'm picking his brain on how to be a better manager, how to manage many assets. So you can learn as you go. You can learn from others, and you can learn from just taking action in this game. But the Boots on the Ground program will give you that view where you're like in an operation, seeing how houses are put back together, issues that are dealt with somebody who can actually solve them. And it's like, that will educate you. That will hyper educate you. That's essentially serving an apprenticeship, which is how people used to learn. That's how people used to learn. You want to know how to make shoes, you go apprentice under a shoemaker, and you just get in the operation and you figure it out. And I've seen many people figure it out, which is really cool. So I was just talking to a guy. He's done like 5 deals with Boots on the Ground, and we were talking about, hey, he's going to Dallas. He's going to try to set up a little operation. Can you support me in that? And I'm here to support. I'm like, yeah, go crush Dallas. Go run with this thing. More success. Month 2. So now that you found your market, you did all of these things. You checked your credit, you got your financing strategy. You need to start analyzing about 3 to 5 properties a day. I almost felt bad writing it because I know somebody's like, damn, 3 to 5? But yeah, to keep it real, you have to analyze. And by analyze, this could boil down to, as you get better at it, just looking at a deal, just looking at it, thinking about it for maybe 30 seconds. I'm saying, yeah, that actually could fit the buy box. Early on in your journey, it's a little bit more. I mean, it might be pulling out a calculator. It might be using like a stress test tool or something like that. And that can show you how to analyze at a high level, but it's all supposed to become muscle memory over the course of time. There's only so many deals on the market. You can kind of learn them and understand what they're worth just by the zip code, general location, and square footage. Quite frankly, 1,200 square feet, 19143. It's the address is 58 Catherine Street. So I know it's on 58th Street. That's what I know. It's 58 Catherine. I know Catherine is generally north of Market, and it's on 58th Street. So I know it's far west. And I know that those in that area, I'm not even looking at anything, but it's in my head because of the cross street and because you do analysis all the time. You do 3 to 5. So your analysis becomes like that. It's worth 225. I can go confirm that, but I already know it's worth 225. They're asking 52. Let me shoot a text to my agent, my realtor, so he can get the offer out while I go do more development and find more deals. A lot of people say, why not cut out the realtor? You save 3%. Is it worth the 3%? It's a better question. Is the distraction worth the 3%? Being on the phone chasing the deal around. At a high enough level, it's something you'd have to pay somebody to do, quite frankly. So 3 to 5 a day. Eat your broccoli. You'll get it, you'll start to like the taste of it after a while. You'll get better at the game and you'll like the results. And you'll fall in love with the activity or you won't. Those who do fall in love with the activity make money. Those who don't can still make money, actually, shockingly. But that's why the win rate is so high. Guys, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment section. Know your buy box. You have to, part of that analysis is, like I said, knowing your buy box. Your buy box might be like, on average, it takes 80 grand to build these things. This is how you will become at some point. On average, it takes 75,000 to build them in this general condition at this general square footage. So I need to buy them here because the after repair values are generally here. And my spread is this. So you start to have a buy box. Anything that is selling for less than 80K and would be worth more than 230 is in my buy box. It's like a pitcher just throwing that thing right in the box, right in the strike zone. Like fastball, straight down the middle. Know your buy box. You got to know what it is. And that's where real estate, where I say it becomes parallel parking a car, a feel, because you have a buy box and then you can feel the deal out mentally based on location, cross streets, general after repair values, and general condition based on pictures, which means I can look at photos in 10 seconds worth of photos, scroll, and have a instant feel for that deal based on what they're asking. And I can get out an offer. I can get an offer out in a minute. I can have a guy standing in it potentially, if the seller's serious, in 30 minutes to an hour. And that's fast. But know your buy box. Make offers. You got to get 2 to 3 offers a week out. You got to get 2 to 3 offers a week out. If you ain't getting 2 to 3 offers a week out, you're at rookie numbers. You got to get your numbers up. You got to get your numbers up. You got to analyze 3 to 5 a day to get to those 2 to 3 that are worth it. Because every deal you analyze, it doesn't always fit. You're like, I like it. That killed it. Yeah, that structural issue, that killed it. That added another 20K. It's outside of my buy box now. It's a curveball. So you got to get 2 to 3 offers out. You have to get your volume up. Get your 2 to 3 offers out. If you're not getting 2 to 3 offers out, you're far from a deal. If you're getting 2 to 3 offers a week out, you're very close to a deal. Not that you can't get a deal making 2 to 3 offers a month. You can. You can. You absolutely can. But this is a high volume game. Because we don't just want any deals. We want the deals that hit our buy box. And these are tough. These are tougher deals to get. These are not the easy peasy deals. But when we get them, they're profitable. Byte said, how do you suggest we go about finding a realtor that will write 2 to 3 offers out a week? There's plenty of them. There's plenty of them. Most realtors don't make that much money. There are realtors that would love to write 2 to 3 offers a week. Love it. Love it. Like, there are some broke realtors out there that are hungry that would love to do that. Are there any investment realtors in 24/7 cash flow group that specialize in creative deals, i.e. seller financing? I believe we have a few. I have to double check some of the profiles, but I believe we do have a few. But It's not that you need a investment realtor that specializes in it. You need a attorney. You need a real estate attorney is more important. The realtor doesn't don't it's almost a question where it's like you want the realtor to do a little too much. You want them to be kind of leading the deal. That's a recipe for the disaster. That's not what the realtors do. They're there to handle the transaction and that process, that back and forth grind, so that you are free to analyze and make more offers. That's what they're there to do, but they're not there to necessarily guide you on value or any type of profit based decision making for the most part, in my opinion. You want to do all that independently. And then number four, you need to be walking properties and negotiating with people, going back and forth. You need to be getting in the weeds a little bit. But you got to get in some properties. You have to feel them, because there's what you see, there's what you can feel. You got to get in some cribs so that you can learn houses. You kind of, over the course of time, you learn houses by seeing all of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly, seeing the worst of the worst. That's kind of like on a ride along, I might take you in a worst of the worst property so you can experience that and understand what a full gut is versus a heavy cosmetic. Something that's like, well, it's old, but it's kind of sturdy, versus something that's like, this is a tear down. I didn't even know you could do these. Walk your properties. Also, for your multifamilies, it's important to walk them, because multis are set up, they can be set up strange, because people are trying to squeeze different types of value out of their multis. And some people aren't. Some people are parking cash and they got huge living rooms and huge things. So you need to walk many multis to understand they're bigger properties, so they have different types of structural issues from being larger. So you need to walk those, many of them, to develop a feel for what you want from a quality standpoint, or from a size perspective, square footage. So if you're doing these things in month 2, you're rocking and rolling. There's something called the 2-month delay. That means you will not see the fruit of the labor for at least a couple of months. So by the time you see results in month 3, it's from the work you did in month 1 and 2. It's not because you're now great in month 3. It's because of the work you're putting in, the consistency. It starts to develop results. And if you continue with the activity, now you have momentum, because it continues. You only have to pay the price of the 2-month delay once. And then if you don't have any delays, you won't have any more. You won't experience any, because it'll all be, results coming in from the prior 2 months work. So get that stuff done. Walk properties and definitely negotiate. Definitely get in some arguments, get in some fights over the value. Hey, your property's a piece of crap. It's not worth 110. Take 90 or I'm walking. You need to have some of those moments. I'm not putting down 10K. I'll give you 2,500 or I'm out of here. You've been on the market 50 days. Have some of those conversations. It's good for your experience and your exposure. It is good for you. Kwame said, is it wise to take equity out from my personal home to acquire a duplex, triplex, or quad? I'm looking in Allegheny County. Yes. I mean, yes. If it's kind of like your house had a house. If you can take the equity out of one home and then use it to do a burst strategy on another home and leave maybe very little capital in, it's like you used your first property to generate another property. Here's the thing about that money, and here's the thing about equity that some people learn, some people know, some people learn the hard way. It's better with you having access than just leaving it with the bank. Because think about it, you could have a credit line, you could have some equity, and you could be out leveraging that now. Or you can sit there and just think it'll be there on a rainy day. Maybe not. Maybe on a rainy day, values are down. And now you can only get your hands on 60K versus 250 because you waited for no reason. And there's that time value of the money. and it's the cheapest money from a borrowing standpoint in this game. So I look at it and I just say, yeah, I think you should get your hands on your equity. If you don't, I mean, at least unlock your equity, your HELOC. If you don't need it, you just don't touch it. But at least it's there and it's liquid. Um, I just wouldn't kind of leave it sitting there. It's not necessarily doing that much. Now, that being said, with enough properties, if you had 50 houses, you might have some levered and some all cash as part of a diversification strategy. But even on those cash properties, I would be taking out a line of credit across all of them, every last one of them. We already answered that question. Yep, I have. Let me see this. Yeah. Okay. So we should be good there. So guys, once again, if you're interested in tapping into the 24/7 cash flow community, click the link in bio, click the link in the description. If you want to tap into our boots on the ground program, where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for you, just DM me boots on the ground, or just reach out. However you got here, send me an email. Some of you are a little bit closer. If you're in the community already, message me, and we'll get you in front of that opportunity. See if it's a good fit. If not, certainly fine. But I love how it's been helping people to not only get deals done, but learn the process. And I'm much more interested in you guys actually learning and understanding the process more than anything, because you can always do more deals in the future. You can always go out and execute with the knowledge. The knowledge is more valuable than any deal. It's just knowing how to do them. That light bulb will click for many people at some point. But there's being in a deal, and it can be stressful. It can kind of zonk you out. But it's really the knowledge of the deal that is very powerful, because you can always do more and bigger and better. Leslie Taylor says boots on the ground. DM me boots on the ground. Or Lisa Taylor. DM me boots on the ground, and we'll get you in front. Month 3. So we're taking a lot of action, right? We're getting out offers. We're analyzing deals. We're in it. We're obsessing over our credit. We're in the mix. Month 3, you're going to go under contract, because if you start getting out 2 to 3 offers per week, you're going to go under contract in like a month or two. By month 3, you're going to be in it, because you're going to see a lot of deals. You're going to be going out, looking, touching, feeling, and getting out multiple offers. Even people who said no are going to step back up. That's going to shock you. They said go to hell. They said hell no. 3 weeks later, they said yes. They said we got a deal. They said we got a deal. Lisa Taylor said HELOC, home equity line of credit. Home equity line of credit. So you go under contract and you lock in your funding. So that funding a relationship, you're kind of, going out and getting pre-qualified with the lender. And then you're not talking to them again until you have a deal under contract. Once you get the deal under contract, you submit the contract to the lender and you send it to the title company to clear the deal. And then you coordinate them. I would probably send that in one email. And I might send it to the insurance professional as well. Property and casualty insurance, because I'm going to need some insurance. So I'm sending that out. I'm locking in the funding. I'm locking in the contract. I'm putting down an earnest money deposit. This is more action that you need to take. You need to have that feel of, holy shit, I'm about to send out a 3K wire. Are we sure this is a decent, one, or do we feel good about it? Does it meet my principles, or, my real estate philosophy, whatever that is? You need to go through that process as part of your action taking. Number 2, hire inspectors. Nothing wrong with that. Hire inspectors, or if you have a crew that is inspecting, that could be different. But if you're just buying, like even like a FHA house hack, hire some inspectors. Walk that property with the inspector. Don't bug them, but try to learn as much as possible. If you're really cool with them and they're talkative, which can happen, you can learn a lot. You can get hyper educated during a property inspection. That could accelerate you 5 years, maybe, in certain areas, because it might give you a total, what would we call that? Like it might just give you enough general knowledge that it allows you to guess correctly. It gives you not quite critical mass knowledge, but a little bit more, pushes you closer. So you start to understand and kind of see common issues and things that are connected. There's a time where you think a house is all these separate parts, and then there's a time where you see the interconnections of, oh, well, if I have to redo the wiring, then I have to take off all the drywall, then I have to, and you start to get into the, it's all interconnected type of game. The more you learn about it versus, oh, I'm just going to go in and just rewire it. The drywall looks good, we're just going to keep it. What about the trim? No, it's going to be fine. We'll just take the base. How do you fix them? Well, now you got to redo all the trim. By the time you do that, you might as well get rid of the shitty carpet. Now you're in a gut job. Hire inspectors, negotiate with sellers, negotiate for sellers' credits. You got to do that. That was one of the biggest hacks. That was the difference between me putting down $9,000 versus $5,000 on my first multi, was negotiating a seller's credit. So that's a major hack that almost nobody talks about. I don't know why, because it's actually, I do know why, because it's not customary everywhere in the country. Some places they do seller's credits all the time. Some they don't. And they're like, oh, we don't really do that here. And you're like, why? Well, it's just not customary. Like, okay, well, tell the seller anyway. That could hurt a deal. But depending on the deal, what I've seen with these FHA house hacks, because you're buying them at the top of the market, a lot of the sellers will do whatever you want, as long as they get to walk away with something near the check that they want. So you may be able to stroke it in and say, look, I need an extra $12,000 seller credit for the closing table. Now, instead of bringing, $25K, you brought 12 or 13 and grabbed a triplex. So you have to be able to negotiate that stuff in and be conscious of it. Step 3, you close. So you go through that closing process, which is good, that ownership process. You got to do your first deal at some point. You got to have your first beer, right? So you're going to close. You're going to go through a process. You're going to sign paperwork. You're going to do it remotely. So you're going to understand that that's going to be a light bulb. Oh, wait, I just did this at my kitchen table. So does this mean I could close from anywhere in the country? Does that mean I could function from anywhere in the country, or even outside? How about outside of the country? How would that work? Is that possible? You start to understand how some of this stuff will work. So you close on your deal. You kind of get to the next stage of starting rehab, finishing rehab, tenant placement. You want to get into these action steps. Well, notice we're getting to where a lot of people start, which is the funny part, right? So the last step of month 3 is to start rehab and focus on tenant placement. A lot of people are obsessed with landlord-tenant laws and tenant. And there's a lack of confidence there that won't start them. And then the other half are obsessed with just rehab, Property Brothers, rehab, build houses, ground up deals. This is the last step. You really don't even need to know anything about this until you get here, until you're like going under contract. And even when I'm under contract, you might only have a $2,000 earnest money deposit. So if you keep going and you get right here and you're like, I ain't feeling the deal, you just don't close. You just walk away from the 2K. This gives you maybe 30 days to start bringing in contractors and different people to evaluate a deal even before you close. And then focus on that tenant placement aspect. But tenanting, I would say, is a little bit easier because you can always just speak to the eviction attorney. So guys, that's your 90-day play. That's month 1, 2, and 3 of what you need to do, and why most people, never start. So if you want to know how to buy your first rental in 90 days, do those steps. If you start missing a step, those are in sequence. So if you're not analyzing your 3 to 5, I wouldn't anticipate you would even get out 2 to 3 offers. It's not going to happen anyway. So go through those steps, walk the path, and you'll waltz into a deal in 90 days. You might do a deal sooner than 90 days, realistically. because it doesn't take that long. And some of you are already ahead. Some of you have already gotten your financing together, and you already have your location picked out. You have many of these things. So you only need focus on team building and probably lending relationships, or just different things like that. Getting your analysis together, I would say, is really important. If you don't know how to analyze deals, you are not going to be able to find the best ones on the market, and you won't accelerate as fast. Your portfolio won't grow as fast. Um, Answer a last question, and then we'll put a bow on this thing. Do banks frown upon tapping into equity from your investment property? Is it a struggle? No, I wouldn't say banks frown upon anything. I think the banks are fine. Frown upon tapping into equity from your investment? No, no. You can definitely execute on that. They just won't lend. Like the limits on your rental properties are a bit lower. So the amount of capital you can get is going to be capped at different LTVs. That's a real good strategy, I would say, the rental property line of credit strategy. If you're buying properties mostly cash and you're using very low debt, then unlocking that equity can give you increased liquidity to when you do use debt, you kind of use your own line and you keep those costs down because your line is way cheaper than any hard money lender will ever want to be. But there's a way to set it up. They're not going to put a credit line on something that's already at an 80% uh, LTV, or maybe even 75%. But as the market appreciates, this is what you do. The line of credit, what happens is, if you buy a bunch of properties, let's say you just went out and you focused, you locked in, and you bought 15 properties and you hung on to them for 10 years, you would pay down a lot of debt. There'd be a lot of debt pay down. And the properties over 10 years in a hot market could easily go up 100K a property, easily. If you're buying in an affordable market, it's not that much money, not in real estate. So now that's like 1.5 million to the upside, plus maybe you paid down half a mil into your own equity, because it's going to be interest heavy that first 10 years. That's a lot of money. That's like 2 million of a spread. Maybe you could access a million tax free, or get a $1.5 million line of credit at a very low rate or at a favorable rate. That becomes a major accelerator that they don't think about. People think very quickly, how much money can I make right now? But if you go out 10 years and you just really just survive, build durable rental products, and just hang on, maybe you liquidate a couple properties for liquidity, whatever you got to do, doesn't matter. But you keep a nice portfolio of 10 to 20, even maybe 30 properties, they're going to go up 100K each, some more, some less, but on average. And then you get that big line of credit. You get that big line. And then you could acquire, with a $3 million line, $2 million line, you could go out and acquire a portfolio with that type of money. You could take half a mil and acquire a 20 property portfolio somewhere, 20 unit, because you'll have 400K to put down, 500K to put down. So definitely a nice strategy. But in order to get there, you just need to do more deals. You need to get one rental done and kind of run through that process. Just get a deal, and then do it again. It's riding a bike. So guys, hope that helps. I think we're all out of questions. If you guys want to tap into our 24/7 cash flow community, click the link in the description. On IG, click the link in bio, YouTube. If you want to tap into the ride along, you can reach out, DM me ride along, Saturday, August 16th. And if you want to learn more about our Boots on the Ground program, which I would say is the ultimate, it's like an immersive learning experience, quite frankly, where you come out with a deal or two. There are people who've done 10 plus deals, many people. But, you at least get to go through that process. You're going to round those bases and be put straight you're kind of going to be skipped forward through boots on the ground. I would say you're going to get, this isn't even going to matter the why most people don't start. You're going to accelerate all through this because you're going to have cash flow, market, check. We'll push through that in the first week. Team is already built, deal sourcing, analysis, buy box, offers, walkthroughs, and negotiation. All of this stuff is basically done and even accelerated through here. So yeah, I mean, it is an easy button, but this is your 90-day play. So take action, fall in love with it. Don't. If you have questions, reach out. And everybody enjoy your fourth, enjoy your holiday, spend time with family. That's what real estate is really about, is family and just building a better lifestyle where you can pour into your kids, the next generation, and spend more time with them and less time in the 9 to 5, less time doing something you don't love. It's not about making a bunch of money. That might be a side effect of it, of the activity, because it's $1 trillion industry. $1 million is a crumb in this industry. So if you get any talent, I mean, you could make that, but it's really about spending that time. So make sure you spend time with family, recharge the battery, and then keep running, because interest rates are falling. Lots of things are happening and to our advantage for those who are paying attention. So just be one of those people who are paying attention. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor.